Okay.
Animals' bodies have them too. When a pathogen jumps from one species to another species that isn't familiar with it, it can exploit that new host's lack of defenses and cause illness.
Like a bat?
A pathogen that moves from animals to humans is called a zoonosis. Diseases like West Nile virus and Ebola both originated this way, and researchers think COVID-19 did too. Among humans, the majority of new disease outbreaks are the result of zoonotic diseases. And for the last few decades, the number of zoonotic disease outbreaks has been increasing. Looking at this chart, it might seem like humans are the victims of an onslaught of pathogens from animals. But what if these outbreaks are increasing because of something humans are doing?
There's a lot of things we're doing that are increasing the probability of pandemic-causing pathogens emerging.
What?
This is Sonia Shaw. She's a science journalist who writes about the history of pandemics.
Right now, we've used up over half of the terrestrial surface of the planet.
Humans have been using more...
Can I be honest, Chat? Can I be honest? Chat, I'm not kidding, okay? This is not an ad. Technology has advanced. I'm not kidding. Humans have developed new technology. The cameras that are trash cost just as much as the cameras that are good, okay? I'm not kidding. There is no excuse for having a camera that looks this bad ever, okay? The cameras that are like $100 are fucking insane now, dude. This shit, not okay.
Humans have been using more and more land for hundreds of years, but that land use has accelerated in the last 100 years. Today, satellite imagery shows us exactly what this expansion looks like. We're expanding our cities, erasing forests, and reshaping the land for agriculture. And sometimes that expansion is the result of war.
Humans.
That's what happened here in West Africa. It's an area that today includes Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Liberia.
There was a forest that once covered that area where the three countries meet.
Throughout the 1990s, civil wars in this region killed...
So, Chat, I hate doing this, Chat, but is that a foul? That's a foul, right? Foul, AK, foul.
In the 90s, civil wars in this region killed thousands, and forced many more from their homes.
Hundreds of thousands of refugees fled into that forest. They cut down a lot of those trees. They're making way for their homes and cutting down trees for charcoal and farming, etc. And you can actually see the change in the forest cover in satellite images. If you look at the early 70s satellite images, it's almost all green. And then you look at late 1990s and it's mostly brown because only a small fraction of the original forest remained.
Jesus,
Here,
dude.
in a village in Guinea is where researchers think an outbreak of Ebola began at the end of 2013. Like the rest of the region, this village used to be a forest and also happens to be a natural habitat for wild bats.
Where's the juice?
Researchers believe the outbreak started with a boy named Emile, who died after he was exposed to fluids from a bat carrying Ebola, which quickly spread from his family to his village to other villages. As humans develop and transform wild animal habitats, events like the Ebola outbreak are becoming more and more likely.
We're paving over wildlife habitat, which means it's much more likely that pathogens that live inside animal bodies will make their way into human bodies.
And that's because animals end up living much closer to us. But in many cases, those animals don't survive human encroachment into their habitats in the first place. This chart shows the biggest extinction threats facing different animal groups. For most of them, the biggest threat to survival isn't pollution or being hunted, it's the loss of their habitat. And a disappearing species creates a different opportunity for zoonotic diseases to jump to humans. Take West Nile virus, for example. It originates in birds that migrate from Africa to North America in the summer. It typically infects humans through mosquitoes. But West Nile virus was never a problem in the US.
Fuck the mosquitoes.
Until 1999.
That's because we had a diversity of bird species in our domestic bird flock.
In a diverse bird population, some species are good carriers of West Nile virus, and some aren't. North America once had a large population of birds like woodpeckers and rails that don't easily carry the virus.
Chat, at home, okay, chat? In the backyard, my mom has a garden, and she has a bunch of bird feeders and shit like that. And chat, my backyard is full of birds, dude. We could do IRL streaming, gardening, and yeah, I don't know what else we could do.
That made it much harder for the virus to spread among the bird population. But then we started disrupting those birds' habitats.
What's happened over the past 50 years is we've lost a lot of that avian biodiversity. Woodpeckers and rails are now pretty rare.
Is that annoying?
What we now have instead are a lot of species like American robins and crows.
Crows and robins are much more adaptable to a changed environment, but they also happen to be better carriers of West Nile virus.
The fewer woodpeckers and rails you have around, and the more robins and crows you have around, the more West Nile virus you have around in your domestic bird flocks. And the more likely it becomes that a mosquito will bite an infected bird and then bite a human. And that's exactly what happened in New York City in 1999.
That's pretty crazy.
Before 1999, no one in the US had ever died from West Nile virus. Since then, around 150 people in the US have died from it every year.
That's random? Guys, is this random?
The places where humans are encroaching on wildlife are the frontier for the next pandemic. That means one thing scientists can do to prevent it is to watch those places really closely.
We don't know which microbe is going to cause the next outbreak or pandemic, but we do know how that happens, and so we can really do active surveillance in those places where it's most likely to occur, places where there's a lot of invasion of wildlife habitat.
But preventing future outbreaks might also require us to rethink
why the U.S. drinking age is 21. Come on, watch that now, dude.
Understand that as we take over more and more of the planet...
I don't know, maybe. It's kind of good to me. I've always wondered because here at home it's 18. Dude. Okay, thanks for the min rulla på showen. Oh, what is this, man? Maybe watch this. We can watch all of them, dude. Chat, I'm not stressed at it, chat. We're just chilling. Chat, I'm not stressed at all, dude. We can watch whatever. All day. Not all day, but, you know, whatever. Well, that's loud.
Michael, welcome to the White House. This is the 40th President of the United States, Ronald Wilson Reagan, and Michael Joseph Jackson.
Michael Jackson?
1984, Michael Jackson.
For Michael Jackson brings a thrill a minute to his millions of fans.
We have quite a few young folks in the White House who all wanted me to give you the same message. They said to tell Michael, please give some TLC to the PYTs.
So this is not just a footnote in history. It actually connects, in a weird way, to the reason that you have to be 21 in every state in the United States to buy alcohol. I'll show you.
Wait, really?
States determine their own minimum legal drinking ages. And in 1975, they looked like this. All these blue states are at 18. All these green ones are 19. Delaware is yellow. Alone at 20. These orange ones are 21, but with allowances for lower alcohol levels in stuff like beer and wine. And these red ones are the 21 and older states. It's a complicated map. Now look at the map today. It's all 21. How did that change happen? This story takes you to a political crossroads and the Supreme Court, and in a weird way to Michael Jackson shaking hands next to the president while dressed like this. But the drinking age change is ultimately a story about roads.
What?
Prohibition, the 18th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, banned alcohol in 1920. It was repealed by the 21st Amendment, and after that, a lot of states settled on a drinking age of 21 and older.
Why did they ban it?
See the red here in the late 60s? Those are all 21 and older states. In the 70s, the 26th Amendment changed the dynamic again.
That amendment, as you know, provides for the right to vote of all of our young people between 18 and 21. 11 million new voters as a result of this amendment.
18-year-olds could be drafted to Vietnam and vote. So a lot of states decided they could drink. But that map was short-lived for one reason.
And here comes the president.
Yeah, why?
Nearly 50,000 people were killed on our highways last year. Now, out of this statistic comes an even more chilling one. Drunk drivers were involved in 25,000 of those
Holy
fatalities,
shit!
in addition to 750,000 injuries a year.
Drinking age reform advocates quickly attributed drunk driving fatalities in the blue states, or 18 and older states, to earlier drinking ages. People also argued that teens driving across state lines to drink or purchase alcohol increased drunk driving.
That makes a lot of sense, dude.
This 1983 map was still a hodgepodge, but see how more states turned green for 19 and yellow for 20 years old? That was driven partly by an awareness campaign.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Michael Jackson, he was being honored for letting his music be used in anti-drunk driving PSAs.
You're as good as dead.
But tactics weren't limited to PR. President Reagan is famous for saying,
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help."
that made his strategy kind of surprising.
For even though drunk driving is a problem nationwide, it can be solved only at the state and local level. Yet the federal government also has a role to play.
His thinking was influenced by 2 main groups.
Much of the credit for focusing public
Chat,
attention.
so what they're saying is that whenever there'd be a lot of actions, whatever, the state would change the thing higher, so people would stop going to their state and cross over, and their residents would stop dying.
Goes to the grassroots campaign of organizations like MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, and RID, Remove Intoxicated Drivers.
Candace "Candy" Lightner founded MAD in 1980 after her daughter Carrie was killed by a drunk driver. MAD's goals at the time included making it easier to obtain DUI convictions and raising the drinking age. This direction was clear at Riverdale High School in Oradell, New Jersey, where President Reagan explained his unpredictable political evolution. The problem?
I appointed a presidential commission on drunk driving. They told us that alcohol-related automobile accidents are the leading cause of teenage deaths in this country.
That's bullshit, dude.
In states in which the drinking age has been raised, teenage driving fatalities have gone down significantly.
You guys, that not bullshit as in like it's fake. I mean like it's trash.
Here in New Jersey,
So I don't use the words like you do, Chad. I'm sorry, dude.
One in 1983. And you know what happened? You had a 26% reduction in nighttime single vehicle fatalities among 19 and 20-year-olds in the first year alone.
The dilemma.
I was delighted again because I hope that the states would, as they should, take this action themselves without federal orders or interference. It has led to a kind of crazy quilt of different state drinking laws, and that's led to what's been called blood borders. Teenagers leaving their homes to go to the nearest state with a lower drinking age.
So I was right.
And here, this is where the roads come in.
Well, they fed me the answer, but still.
The Interstate Highway Act of 1956 created a network of roads largely funded by federal dollars. These roads quickly became crucial to state economies. That money also became a way to bend the states to federal priorities, even if it meant Reagan had to change his typical political positions.
I've decided to support legislation to withhold 5% of a state's highway funds if it does not enact the 21-year-old drinking age.
Well, that's pretty smart.
Now, some may feel that my decision is at odds with my philosophical viewpoint that state problems should involve state solutions, and it isn't up to a big and overwhelming government in Washington to tell the states what to do. And you're partly right. Beyond that, there are some special cases in which overwhelming need can be dealt with by prudent and limited.
Chat, wait, minus 5%. The income that they would get from all the alcohol sales, whatever, dude, wouldn't that make up for that 5% loss anyway, dude? Couldn't people be stubborn about this?
Federal action.
The law passed. That's Candy Lightner celebrating.
I'd like to make you an honorary mother against drunk drivers.
It wasn't technically a nationwide drinking age law, but in effect, it was.
We have no misgiving about this judicious use of federal power.
States quickly adopted the 21-year-old drinking age. Most couldn't afford to lose federal funding for their highways. Louisiana was the only state that held out at age 18 due to a loophole which it closed in the mid-90s. South Dakota challenged the law to preserve sale of low-alcohol beer for 19-year-olds and up, and it reached the Supreme Court.
Then you may proceed whenever you're ready.
Jesus,
Mr. Chief Justice, and may it please the court. The issue in this case is whether or not Congress may condition the receipt of highway funds upon a state having in effect a 21-year-old drinking age.
This fucking
The court
Mike
ruled
did.
7-2, stating it was within Congress's powers to control spending that promoted general welfare, arguing
I
the
learned.
reduction of youth drinking and driving via the 21-year-old drinking age.
Did you guys know all this?
Did it work? Most studies declare case closed, that the higher drinking age saves lives and reduces alcohol consumption. Skeptics, like people from the Libertarian Cato Institute, claim a broader cultural change, not a law, should be credited with saving lives. Reagan himself kind of argued both sides, saying that
the new minimum drinking age is working.
But that,
my friends, there's so much more to do, and it's not government that can do it.
politically, Ronald Reagan using federal purse strings to strong-arm states is a strange pairing. But beyond the politics, there's a bigger message. The federal government has used other levers to push states, but to change the drinking age, there was one big tool. The thing that changed the country wasn't just the lines on states' edges. It was the ones that run through them.
Chat, don't let this lie to you, chat. This is propaganda, chat. The highways, okay? People don't go that fast anymore, okay? Dude, it's all traffic jam. It's jam, dude. Okay? You can bike fast and how fast cars go on the fucking highway.
Alright, that's it for this road trip edition of Almanac.
Chores.
I'm about to...
Okay. Next video. Pog. Even if it's just for the day. Enjoy your stay. Outside the sun is shining.